The wrestling world has been hit by an absolutely devastating, gut-wrenching piece of news that has left fans, wrestlers, and the entire WWE universe in complete shock. This is not one of those sensational storyline twists, this is not a WWE angle, this is grim reality. Paul Heyman, the wise man, the advocate, the man who masterminded the careers of legends like Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, is gone. And it happened in a way that no one could have ever imagined. A ghastly, horrifying motor accident that has left everyone grasping for answers. People are still struggling to even process the fact that the voice of Extreme, the man who carried ECW on his back, the man whose mind was sharper than any promo he ever cut, is no longer here with us. Reports started flooding in just hours ago. At first, some people refused to believe it. Social media exploded with speculation, with fans hoping, praying, begging that it was one of those wild rumors that pop up on Twitter and vanish after 5 minutes. But then, the official WWE statement dropped. And it was as if the entire wrestling community went silent. The statement confirmed the unthinkable. It is with profound sadness that WWE announces the passing of Paul Heyman. Mr. Heyman died earlier today following a tragic motor vehicle accident. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and fans worldwide. Those words, cold, final, and crushing, hit like a steel chair to the heart. But here's where the anger begins to boil, because the circumstances surrounding this accident are nothing short of infuriating. Witnesses say that Paul Heyman's vehicle was struck head-on by another driver who had been recklessly speeding and weaving through traffic. That driver was allegedly intoxicated. Yes, you heard me right. Paul Heyman's life was taken not by some unavoidable twist of fate, but because of sheer negligence and reckless stupidity. For decades, Heyman had navigated the dangerous politics of pro wrestling with brilliance. He could outthink the most manipulative managers, he could rally wrestlers and fans alike with his voice alone. But in the end, it wasn't an opponent in the ring that took him from us, it was someone who should never have been behind the wheel in the first place. Fans who saw Heyman just a few nights ago on WWE programming are absolutely stunned. 1 minute he was cutting a promo that had the entire arena hanging on his every word, and the next, he's gone. Roman Reigns, who was reportedly with Heyman just 48 hours before the tragedy, is said to be completely inconsolable. Sources backstage claim that when Reigns got the news, he locked himself in his locker room for nearly an hour before being escorted out of the arena. Social media tributes started pouring in immediately. Brock Lesnar's camp, despite Lesnar being known for his distance from public social media, released a rare statement saying, "There will never be another Paul Heyman. He wasn't just my advocate, he was my brother. This world feels emptier without him." But even as the condolences pour in, the outrage is building. Fans want answers. They want to know why someone like Paul Heyman, someone who has given so much to the business, someone who was a mentor to dozens of WWE superstars, had to have his life cut short because another driver decided to act recklessly. And here's the thing, the fallout from this tragedy is about to ripple through WWE in ways we haven't seen in years. This isn't just the loss of a manager or an on-screen personality. This is the loss of one of the architects of modern wrestling storytelling. Paul Heyman wasn't just the wise man to Roman Reigns, he was a creative mind that helped shape some of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. Think about it. Without Heyman, would ECW have revolutionized the industry in the 90s? Would Brock Lesnar's dominance have been cemented in the same way? Would Roman Reigns' tribal chief era have reached the heights it has? The answer is no. Paul Heyman wasn't just part of history, he made history. And now, he's gone. Fans across the globe are already calling for WWE to honor Heyman with a full Hall of Fame induction immediately, not at some distant WrestleMania weekend, but now. Some are even saying WWE should rename one of their biggest pay-per-views in his honor. That's how deep his impact runs. But while the tributes are heartfelt, there's still that burning rage underneath. People are asking, where's the justice? How will the person responsible for this tragedy be held accountable? And why does it always seem like the good ones, the people who have given everything to this business, are taken too soon? The details of the crash are still emerging, but what we do know paints a picture that is both heartbreaking and infuriating. Multiple eyewitnesses say that Heyman's car was hit so violently that it spun out of control before flipping onto its side. Emergency services rushed to the scene, but by the time they were able to extract him from the wreckage, it was too late. We're going to break down everything we know so far. Every witness account, every update from law enforcement, and every backstage reaction from WWE superstars who are grappling with this sudden and devastating loss. And let me tell you, if you think this is just going to fade away like yesterday's news, you're wrong. This is going to leave a scar on the wrestling world for years to come. Because Paul Heyman wasn't just another name in the credits. He was the mind behind the moments that made you scream, made you cheer, made you care. He understood wrestling psychology on a level that few ever will. And to lose him like this, it's not just a tragedy. It's a crime. The moment news of Paul Heyman's passing began to spread, WWE's entire roster went into a state of complete shock. This wasn't just a veteran of the business. This was the man who had single-handedly shaped careers, reinvented characters, and created moments that defined eras. The company that prides itself on "the show must go on" suddenly found itself in a position where nobody wanted to perform. Sources from within WWE revealed that the mood backstage was unlike anything they had ever felt before. You could cut the tension in the air with a knife. Even the most stoic and hardened wrestlers, men and women who had been through injuries, betrayals, and the chaos of live television, were visibly breaking down. Roman Reigns, who has often referred to Paul Heyman as family, reportedly locked himself in his locker room for over an hour after hearing the news. Eyewitnesses claim he was seen pacing back and forth, hands on his head, whispering to himself as if trying to process what he just heard. Jimmy and Jey Uso, despite their recent storyline conflicts, entered Roman's room in silence. No cameras, no words, just the kind of quiet that speaks volumes. On the other side of the arena, Paul Heyman's longtime adversaries turned respectful colleagues were feeling the same devastation. Brock Lesnar, who rarely lets anyone see his emotions, was reportedly in tears. Lesnar, who has a complicated but deeply personal history with Heyman, was said to have called Vince McMahon directly to ask if the news was real, almost refusing to believe it. Fans outside the arena, unaware of the details, noticed unusual activity, security rushing around, officials leaving meetings abruptly, and production staff whispering to each other with panicked expressions. Within minutes, WWE's social media pages had gone black with a single statement. "We are deeply saddened to announce the passing of Paul Heyman following a tragic motor vehicle accident. Our thoughts are with his family, friends, and fans around the world." That was it. No elaboration, no photos, no highlight reels, just silence. And that silence made the situation feel even heavier. Within hours, hashtags like #RipPaulHeyman, #ThankYouPaul, and #ECW Forever began trending worldwide. Fans from every generation, whether they knew him as the mastermind behind ECW, the advocate for Brock Lesnar, or the wise man for the bloodline, poured their grief onto social media. And then the details of the accident started coming out, and they made the loss even harder to accept. Paul Heyman was reportedly on his way to a production meeting for an upcoming WWE storyline when his car was struck head-on by a truck whose driver had lost control on a wet road. Eyewitnesses described the scene as absolutely horrific. The front of Heyman's vehicle was completely crushed, and emergency crews worked tirelessly to get him out, but by the time they reached him, it was too late. Police officials stated that it appeared to be a freak accident, caused by weather conditions, not negligence or reckless driving. But that explanation did little to comfort the millions who were now left wondering how a man so larger than life could be gone so suddenly. What happened next backstage at WWE was something no fan could have expected, because Adam Pearce, the on-screen WWE official, stepped in front of the cameras later that night with tears in his eyes, delivering a tribute that broke everyone watching. But the disbelief didn't stop there, because as the WWE universe began processing the initial announcement, the conspiracy theories exploded online. Some claimed there was no way Paul Heyman could have been involved in such a severe accident without foul play. A few eyewitnesses alleged they saw a black SUV tailing Heyman's vehicle minutes before the crash, raising questions that WWE has yet to address publicly. The police report confirmed another vehicle was indeed in the area, but its driver had not come forward. And then, Brock Lesnar's name started trending. Not because of any confirmed involvement, but because fans know Lesnar and Heyman have an unbreakable bond. Brock was reportedly contacted immediately after the crash, and multiple sources close to him claimed he was out for blood upon hearing what happened. This sparked fear that Lesnar might show up on WWE programming unannounced, possibly ready to take his anger out on anyone he deems responsible. Meanwhile, the locker room atmosphere was tense and unsettling. Several superstars broke down backstage after learning the news. Roman Reigns was said to have been in visible shock, pacing back and forth and refusing to comment to reporters. The Bloodline storyline, which has revolved heavily around Heyman's cunning guidance, suddenly had a giant void at its center. And make no mistake, Heyman wasn't just an on-screen manager to these men. He was a mentor, a strategist, and, in many ways, the glue holding certain alliances together. Within hours, WWE scrambled to make changes to the upcoming show. Segments involving Heyman were cut or reworked entirely. Production meetings became chaotic, with officials trying to figure out how to address the tragedy without derailing ongoing storylines. But one thing was clear: they couldn't just treat this as business as usual. That's when Adam Pearce stepped out into the arena mid-broadcast, visibly shaken. Fans expected a scripted promo. Instead, he delivered a raw, emotional statement confirming the severity of Heyman's injuries and asking the WWE Universe for prayers. The building fell silent. No boos, no cheers, just stunned silence, broken only by the faint sound of a fan shouting, "We love you, Paul." From the upper deck, backstage reports indicated that Triple H had already contacted Heyman's family and offered full support, including covering all medical expenses and ensuring Heyman's legacy would be honored, no matter what. But even in the middle of grief, the whispers continued. Was it really an accident, or something darker? And as the sirens faded into the distance, that cold silence returned, not the silence of peace, but the silence of disbelief. The WWE Universe wasn't just in mourning, they were in shock, denial, and rage. How could someone like Paul Heyman, a man who had defied death in the ring countless times, a man who had orchestrated wars in WWE, ECW, and beyond, be gone in such a violent, meaningless way? Social media became an open floodgate of pain. Current superstars, legends, and even wrestlers from rival promotions dropped their rivalries for a moment just to pour their hearts out. Roman Reigns' post was short but chilling. He was more than my wise man. He was my family. And I will never forgive whoever is responsible. That one line ignited a whole new fire. Fans began demanding answers. Who was driving that other car? Was it truly an accident, or was there foul play involved? And here's where things turned even darker. Early reports from investigative journalists suggested that the vehicle which collided with Heyman's wasn't some random passing car, it was tailing him. Witnesses claimed they saw the same vehicle following his SUV for several miles before the crash. If that's true, then this wasn't a tragic accident. This was a hit. And if it was a hit, the question became why. In the days that followed, WWE shows felt different. The crowd wasn't chanting like usual. The lights felt dimmer. Commentary felt like it was being held together with duct tape, because everyone was still processing the loss. Brock Lesnar, who hadn't been seen on WWE TV for months, made a shocking return. Not for a match, not for a promo, but to stand silently in the middle of the ring for 2 full minutes before walking out without saying a word. That's how deep Heyman's impact went. But the strangest reaction came from CM Punk. He didn't post on social media. He didn't attend the tribute show. Then, out of nowhere, Punk released a cryptic video saying only this: "If you think this was an accident, you don't know Paul Heyman. And if you think this ends here, you don't know me." Fans instantly started theorizing. Was Punk suggesting that Heyman knew he was in danger? Was he hinting at some deep wrestling world conspiracy? The wrestling community was split. Some wanted justice, some wanted closure, and others, they wanted revenge. And as more details leaked, the situation got stranger. The driver of the other vehicle was reported missing. Completely vanished. No arrest, no questioning, gone. And just like that, what was supposed to be an open and shut accident case turned into one of the darkest mysteries in WWE history. And I'll be real with you, this isn't just a wrestling tragedy. This is starting to look like something out of a crime drama. And I promise you, what I'm about to reveal in the next part is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about Paul Heyman's final hours.